Off you go. Here we go. Sorry, I had to grab his stuff.
Hello, Martin. Yeah, I challenge my question. Hello, hi.
The Chinese contingent has arrived.
Yeah, today I talk about the relationship between China and Israel.
Chinese. Resist if I do not comply.
Chinese. Yeah. 同志们好，同志们好，同志们好，同志们好。
That's not the same. That's comrades. Are you well? That's what I mean. He wants to know. Resist, defy, do not comply. That's what he wants.
Resist, defy,
resist, defy.
It's too complicated.
No, it's not.
No, that's when the Chinese president they see the army over there. It's like, 同志们好. This is
not the same.
For the people. Okay. I talk about the relationship between China and Israel. You know, let's be asking you questions. What's the real purpose is Israel in the Middle East? What's the major purpose of Israel consistently challenging Iran? What's that? What's the major destination for Israel to destroy the Hamas, destroy the Lebanon, and destroy the Houthi? What's the major purpose? Okay, let me tell you. Israel is a very clever and smart country. They only have the 8 million Jewish people living in the Middle East. We know Israel was backed up by the United States. This country was founded in 1948. Yes. Yes. So Israel is actually backed up by the United States, right? All the people say that Israel is a representative of the United States interest, right? There is almost, in this words, roughly, there is 15 million Jewish people in this world, right? Almost half, 6 or 7 million people, Jewish people live in the United States. And another half, most of the half, is 6 or 7 million people live in Israel. So we know there is a very close connection between the United States and Israel, right? So Israel was actually fundamentally supported by the United States, right? But you don't know, Israel have very good relationship with China. You know, most of the high technologies since 1950s, since 1960s, the China gets the high technology from Israel. Israel have the very clever people. They invent a lot of high technologies. Even they get the technology from the United States, from Europe. But China was on the international sanctions. Even today, United States have the cheap wars against China. They do not give the China the high technology like the cheap design software, cheap manufacturing technologies. They cannot get any. They don't have the channel get through from the United States. They cannot buy the technology, buy the software for the cheap design, a cheap manufacturing. But China, they get the technology, they get the designer. Where it come from? It come from Israel. So Israel is a clever people, clever countries. In the ancient, in the histories, the Jewish people have the one old wars. If they have the war, we will invite both sides. So Israel invites both sides. They have a good relationship with China, and sometimes they have a good relationship with United States. So I talk about that. There is a two military group fighting each other. China lead China, Russia, Iran alliance fighting with the United States lead NATO groups, right? But what's the role played? What's the role played by Israel in Middle East? From China side, I tell you side, Israel was helping the China, Iran, Israel to distract the military pressures in Ukraine war. You know, from 2022, the Ukraine war break out. All the world focused on the Ukraine war. They think that's the World War III starting from that point. But since Gaza war, so why at this time, the last year, October 7, the Gaza war happened. Gaza war break out. That is China asking Israel. China asking Iran to China asking Iran, asking the Hamas to attack the Israel musical festival. They take over 200 people as a hostage. But until today, the whole Gaza Strip was destroyed. But why Hamas still hold the hostage? Why? They sacrifice so many people. They kill so many people on the Gaza, destroy whole Gaza land. Why they don't release only 100 hostage? That is the excuse. The Hamas gives Israel the very perfect excuse to destroy the Gaza land, to hold Gaza land. That's a gift from China and Iran go to the Israel. That's a gift. That's a swap. That's a cost.
Swap
the
for
gift
what? Swap for what?
for distracting. They will give the Gaza land to the Israel. Israel goes to the United States, lobby United States government to decrease, to reduce the financial support and weapon support to the Ukraine, to distract pressures in the Ukraine wars.
I don't think so.
So that's why.
Where are you getting this from?
It depends on my analysis.
Your opinion, or
yeah, my opinions. Israel, the major role in the Middle East for China side is to distract Ukraine wars, distract the United States support to the Ukraine, to reduce the financial support and weapon support to the Ukraine war. The final, after 2.5 years, Russia is tired. Russia is tired, and Russia consumed too much energy, too much money for the Ukraine wars. Well, yes, go on, yeah. The Russia want to have the ceasefire agreement with Ukraine, actually with the United States. Ukraine was supported by the United States. So at this time, who is the middleman to talk about the both sides? Israel. Israel has a both good relationship with the United States and China. So Gaza is a gift from China and Russia to Israel as a lobby cost, as a gift to lobby Israel, to lobby United States, reduce the financial support and weapon support for the Ukraine war. And Russia's final purpose is annex Eastern Ukraine. Eastern Ukraine is already occupied by Russia.
So they don't need to annex it. They already got it. They already got it.
Yes, but they must have legal documents, science.
That just means
That
capitulation
all
of
the
Zelensky.
international community to admit to accept the Russia occupied Eastern Ukraine. This is Israel roles in the Middle East for China side, and Israel have another role played in Israel for United States side. What's the United States side asking the Israel in the Middle East? United States hope Israel drop or trap is Iran in the Middle East theaters. You know, when the Ukraine war break out, most of the people believed Russia is a stronger military group. They will occupy, defeat Ukraine army in the 3 months or half years, but nothing happened. So Russia was dropped and trapped in the Ukraine wars. And gradually, Russia will depend on China, become the dependent countries of China. So United States found if any country can make a trap like Ukraine war on the Middle East, trap the Iran in the Middle East, they will consume Iran in the Middle East theaters. So that's the Israel is continually challenging Iran's proxy militias like Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthi. They consistently to attack the Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis is a trap, make a trap for the Iran to make the Middle East theaters like the Russia was trapped in the Ukraine wars. We don't know how long will continue for the Ukraine wars. Maybe next 3 years. So after next 3 years, Russia will lose its independence in the economy, in the military, even in the strategically.
Actually, they make it more economy-wise. They're doing better now than before the war. That's what they said in Russia.
Russia depends on
now is even better.
What means even better? Even better. Yes, because Russia before they are independent countries, right? Their economy is diversified. They have the manufacture, they have oil and gas, they have a different things. But now, the most of the financial income come from China, come from the oil and gas selling. Right. But politically, after another 3 years war against Ukraine,
If Trump comes
they
in,
will
I think
economy.
there will be peace. I'll tell you. Trump, if he comes in, this war will finish. The Ukraine.
No, I don't believe that.
Definitely, yeah.
It's not Trump cannot finish
You know
that.
why? You know
It's
why?
not the United States is not the Trump's government.
If
This
Trump comes
United
in,
States the people's
just need to
government.
stop the arms to
This
Ukraine.
United States
and that's it, it will
people's
stop.
of the government. Yes, not Trump cannot say that we stop the Ukraine war.
You want to stop the
Yeah.
arms to Ukraine.
So the other side, the Israel was a tool for United States. They are trap Iran in the Middle East war theaters. Consume the Iran in Middle East because after several years, after over 40 years international sanctions on the Iran's economy totally dependent on China. It's a dependent country of China in the Middle East. And Hamas was supported by Iran. Hezbollah was supported by Iran. Houthi was supported by Iran. And Israel have their own interests. I believe Israel won't destroy the Palestine countries. And they won't take over the Western Bank, Gaza, Western Bank. You know, Western Bank is much bigger than the Gaza. Yeah, and Israel won't revive his Israel countries. Back 3,000 years before, the Israel Jewish people believe their home country is in the Middle East, in the Palestine countries now. So their purpose is revive the Israel countries in Middle East, and they do distract the Ukraine war for China's side. They trap the Iran in Middle East for United States side. So Israel is the most smart countries. The Jewish people, they have the old words is, whatever war ongoing, they will invite both sides.
Don't talk about the Jewish people. I only talk about Israel. But do not cross that line and talk about Jewish people.
Well, but they listen. But they do. They
Yeah.
talk. They
Yeah,
talk.
the Jewish
They
people is
say-
the majority
Israel-
of Israel.
It drifts into Zionism. It crosses all sorts of lines. You don't be there.
Yeah.
They're a country. It's called Israel.
They say Israel. They say Israel, the Jewish state. That's what they say.
I say
Israel, the Jewish state. That's what they say.
Yes. I talk about that. Hello. I talk about that Jewish people is the most smartest people in the world. They are majority of the Israel country, and they invest both sides. Yes, yeah.
What's Chinese? What's the Chinese position? I'm not saying it's big for the Chinese.
Yeah.
But what's the Chinese position on Palestine?
Chinese position is in the past, China is supporting Palestine, supporting Hamas through Iran. China is very smart. They cannot give the weapon direct to the Hamas. They cannot. They don't do that. They don't do that. Give your money to the Hamas. Hamas was a terrorist organization. They will keep their reputation good.
Iran.
Yes, through Iran.
China
Yes,
will
it's
sell
through
to
Iran.
anyone who gives money.
But
They
later,
don't care who to sell it to.
yeah,
They
let
make
me
money.
finish this question. But Gaza land was a gift from China to Israel.
How?
The how is Israel used the military force to occupy Gaza, but Israel have the military ability to occupy Gaza for a long time. But why last year is that happened? The Hamas kidnapping 200 people. That is a perfect excuse for the Israel to occupy Gaza. That excuse is not a mistake. That's not mistake. That's a
All
deliberate
the technology that
created
Israel has
for the
someday.
excuse.
Never
That's
seen
a
other-
excuse. Yes.
Very
So
bizarre.
that is Gaza was sacrificed by China, sacrificed by Iran. The Gaza land was given to the Israel and swapped eastern Ukraine.
So, Mr. Adams, why should China want to support, if you like, a war attack against Gaza?
We can build, take them contracts and build.
That's a
What's
complicated.
in it for China?
Building,
What's in it for
rebuild,
China? What's in it
making
for
money.
China in order to attack through the proxy against Israel? What's in it for China? Why should they want to do that?
Why China to give the
Why
gift?
would want to do
Why
that?
give the gift to that? Distract the Ukraine wars. Distract Ukraine wars. Russia and China have the strategical alliance together. So actually, China supports Russia in the Ukraine wars.
China supports Russia.
70% of the oil and gas, the selling revenue from for the Russia is coming from China, right? After 2.5 years, China they run out of the money. We give you a lot of money go to the Ukraine wars. Yes, that's I have
They got oil, though.
yes, oil and gas. Yes, they get oil and gas, but they want the Ukraine war continue another 3 years. They want the ceasefire in the Ukraine war. So they give the gift to the Israel to lobby the United States, reduce the financial support and weapon support to the Ukraine war, reduce the pressure in the Ukraine war, and then they can have the balance in the Ukraine war.
What about in
battlefield.
Lebanon? What about in Lebanon? What's their position?
Lebanon is similar.
The first time, these things always happen.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one question, but this is for the future. Since you are Chinese, are you Chinese?
Yeah, I'm Chinese.
So we all know what they said, that China in probably 20 years, they will be the #1 power in terms of GDP and all that. Okay? Or less than 20 years. Okay. Now my question is, so for the Israelis or the Jews, whatever. Through it, don't. I don't want you to. I don't want to be in your
No problem. That's
see your camera. No. So, yeah. So, through history, we know like the Jews, they are very clever, and as you said, and that. So, wherever the power was some power, they always see Jews there. So, when the Arab was ruling, there were Jews with Arabic names. So, they will go in, and you would know like that. When the West started in America, then
What's the question?
So when Britain was there, so we had church in America. Now they have the lobbies, Hyde Park and all that. So what happened with China? How can they go in? Because they were like white and stuff, so they so easily can be in America, and so you would know they are like Jews. But with China, and you are Chinese, how are they gonna do that? How can they? Because they have to be with the powerful. So how are they gonna do that? Do you have any ideas to get into your Chinese and have lobbies and stuff?
China already involved in the Middle East for a long time. Through the era, China
Talk about
involved.
Jews in China because they need to be ruling also. To get the power, to get into the power and stuff, so you can control. How are you gonna do it with Chinese?
You said the Jewish people involved in China politics.
Through history and all that. So how
You know, yes,
because Chinese, you are like that. How are you gonna do it? They are white, so. They can't change their names. They might change their names, but how are they gonna do it?
Jewish people in the United States, we know that it's very famous. They control of the Wall Street. They control the financial that, right?
Yes.
But in China, they have the rules to the bank, the foreign investment bank, to operate in China. The China bank system is independent. Independent is not have the relationship with international banking system. But the Jewish people have a very good relationship with China. In the Second World War, the Jewish people was persecuted by the German, by the Nazi countries. And I remember it's 1 and 2 million people, Jewish people, flee to China and live in Shanghai for a long time. The China, they protect the Jewish people over there. So Jewish people, they are paid back for China a long time. I told you
They
that.
will still be Jewish. That's not my question.
Yeah.
Still, you are Chinese, and then they are white Jews, so you know who they are. We do business, we do all this kind of problems. But during the history, normally they will go in, okay, being like you, whoever, until they get into good powers, and then they start controlling. How are they going to do with China?
Jewish people, they are very, very strong financial power globally. It's not in one country, it's globally. They take control of the international money flow. So the China government is cooperating with Jewish people. There's a business partners and political partners.
Okay, I'll answer you.
Yes.
Didn't answer me, but I'll answer it. It's
Yes.
already happening in China.
Yes.
There are lots of Jews are marrying now Chinese, Zuckerberg and all that.
Oh,
they are
yeah.
making Chinese Jews now. And there will be one day, it's already happening, my friend.
I lived in Washington, D.C. for a time, okay?
Very clever. They already know what they're doing.
Now, if you want to see where the power is, try India, for example.
I think the
Somebody
game is very
very,
transparent. I don't think
somebody
that it's
very, very
No,
well
it's hard.
Indians.
To be
And
Chinese.
I'm not condemning
Well,
them. I'm
it's
saying
easier.
that some
You
people
look
have
the
got
same.
real
As
power.
just
You
change
run
the
like
name.
according to Judaism, you follow your mother. According to Judaism, according to Judaism,
If you want to see where power really lies,
so
it's
they
not
have
some of the
make mums
some of the
Chinese
English,
Jewish
some of
mums.
the Americans.
See what I mean? It's already happening. Look at all these big guys. The Americans, Zuckerberg, Chinese women. So the kids.
India,
Okay. Let me finish your question. Let me finish your question. Since 1960s, you know how many high technology. China was under the international sanctions for a long time. Since the 1949, China was founded in 1949, communist China. Okay, since that time, China was forbidden by the United States, by UK, by whole Europe. No technology come to the China. Even they spend money, they cannot get the technology, the patent everything. But China still get them. Who give them?
Israel.
Israel, yes, I talk about that. Since 1916, 1970s, Israel secretly provide many high technology to China. That's a payback. That's a payback because we protect 1 million Jewish people in the Second World War. In the Shanghai, they get the protection in Shanghai, so they pay back. They pay back a lot of like the high technology in the agriculture.
I guess the only country
Like
they've sheltered was
high
Argentina.
technology on the IT, high technology even in the missile, high technology even in the weapon.
Never give them to the
All come
BGA.
from
Maybe Japan.
oh Japan. Japan is not easy. Okay, I lost my voice. So do you have any questions?
One last question.
Yeah, only one
Everyone
question.
else.
Do you
Smiling, he
think
knows.
China is going to be part of
Are
democracy?
you? I'm like,
No, China never become
you're not.
centralized power government. Totalitarian.
Ultimately, it might take years.
So the Amalek in the Bible, in the
What the people
kill
want.
everyone, kill his kids and stuff. Even the donkeys killed.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad? The current system.
In China, was 2,000 years, they are all the totalitarian. This is a centralized government.
Do
Yeah.
you live in China? Do you live in China?
I live in UK.
UK?
Yeah.
Since when you left China?
Why is that?
1 year before.
I want to know. So you've been living in China for a long time.
Yes, 40 years.
Why are you asking
Over
Very important, very important. What year you left China? What year?
last year.
Last year. So, okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I want to know your understanding. Because
Yeah.
sometimes
Thank you very
Chinese,
much. Thank you very
they're
much.
not living in China.
Next speaker. Come on, next speaker.
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question.
There's one question.
Have you learned anything?
I've learned so much from you people. So you, and you know what, when I live here, my mind is
I wonder why
always
you live in China.
Who you come and chat with?
What's your question?
I want to know your background. Because some Chinese, they left China a long time ago when they were kids. Ignore that. So you grow during the change.
well done.
You live during the change.
I understand China very well.
Which part of China you live? Which part of China?
Beijing.
Beijing. I've been there before you start. I've been there in early 90s. Before you change.
Heiko!
Early days.
Has anyone
And then I
seen
go full
Heiko?
time.
You can stop and again. Stop and again. And this was this one.